Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we will speak about dystopias, the most significant one and the ones that I recommend to read to you. So let's start with the definition. What is dystopia? So, dystopian fiction is a form of speculative fiction that offers a vision of the future. Dystopias are societies in cataclysmic decline with characters who battle environmental ruin, technological control, and government oppression. Dystopian novels with a didactic message often explore themes like anarchism, oppression, and mass poverty. So, what's the difference between dystopia and utopia? A dystopia is an imagined community or society that is dehumanizing and frightening. A dystopia is an antonym of utopia, which is a perfect society. The term utopia was coined by Sir Thomas More in his 1516 book Utopia, which was about an ideal society on a fictional island. Dystopian literature, which began as response to utopian literature, explores the dangerous effects of political and social structures of humanity's life. So, the most significant ones in this genre, dystopia, are We by the Mountain, then Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, and then 1984 by George Orwell. As for me, these three books are like a fundament of this genre. So I want to discuss them. And let's start with the first one. It's We by Evgeny Zamyatin. I'll read you a short plot of this book and then I'll tell you my thoughts about this novel. So, We is a dystopian novel by Russian writer Evgeny Zamyatin, written in 1920-1921. The novel describes a world of harmony and conformity within a united totalitarian state. It influenced in the emergence of dystopia as a literary genre. George Orwell said that Aldous Huxley's Brave New World must be partly derived from We, although Huxley denied this. Orwell's own 1984 was also inspired by We. That's why I want to start exactly with this novel, with We by Zamyatin. So, the plot. In a glass-enclosed city of absolute straight lines, ruled over by their all-powerful benefactor, the citizens of the totalitarian society of one state live out lives devoid of passion and creativity. Until D5003, a mathematician who dreams in numbers, makes a discovery. He has an individual soul. So, as you can see in this book, we don't have characters with names. So, their names is just a set of letters and numbers. The main character, the man, D5003, so he writes his own notes. The whole book is built by his notes, and I like this way of writing so much because each of his notes aren't finished. It's like fragments of his own thoughts. So the main character, D5003, he has his normal life the whole people in this whole state, they wake up at the same time, they go to work at the same time, and their huge work is that they build integral their huge spaceship, so they can discover space and to find a better life. Also, there is one interesting detail. All of the citizens allowed to have their lovers, but these ones need to make an appointment. It's like to make an appointment to the doctor or something like that. So this person came to you, and you close your windows covered with curtains, and you make love. And then the main character, he met another girl, and so she switched her conscious. He doesn't understand what is happening to him, why does he feel something kind of love and so on. So and to know the end of this story, you can read this book, but I really recommend this because when I read this book, I felt like I need more and more and more. I didn't want to stop. It's really gripping plot, and despite the fact that it was written in 1921, and when you read this book, you can draw up some thoughts, really good thoughts, and to rethink about your life, about what are you doing right or wrong. But also you can feel, I think, loneliness, and maybe the understanding that you can't change nothing. And I want to share with you some quotes from this book. So the first one is: a man is like a novel. Until the very last page, you don't know how it will end. Otherwise, it wouldn't even be worth reading. And the second one: there is no final one. Revolutions are infinite. So I think that this book is really worth of reading. Even if you don't like dystopias at all, I think you can just try. The next one is Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. I also read you a short plot and then I discuss. So Brave New World is a dystopian novel by English author Aldous Huxley, written in 1931 and published in 1932. Largely set in futuristic world state whose citizens are environmentally engineered into an intelligence-based social hierarchy, the novel anticipates huge scientific advancements in reproductive technology, sleep learning, psychological manipulation, and classical conditioning that are combined to make a dystopian society which is challenged by the story's protagonist. So in this novel we also have a society, a happy society, a comfort society, where citizens are engineered through artificial warmth, and these babies are divided to different classes from their birth. So there are some classes, the ones who work with their mind and so on, and the ones who do just dirty job. And when baby is born, they are in the special center, and they are learned through their sleeping. So center workers are turning some phrases, mottos, and so on that they need to know, and these children are learning. And adults, though, they get whatever they want, their purposes in life is to enjoy and to entertain. um, they don't have their definition of love. They think that they belong to everyone, and the more partners you have, the greater you are. And it's normal, and some kids get some sex education from their childhood, and it's normal for them. They have different kinds of entertaining. For example, there are movies in cinemas where you there are stupid movies, but where you can feel everything that are happening on the screen. And if you suddenly feel yourself lonely or sad or something else, you can just swallow a pillow, and you will be happy again. So in this society, we have a main character whose name is Bernard, and he doesn't really satisfied with his life. He feels sometimes sad, and no one understands him, and he doesn't like the idea that his girlfriend can sleep with other men, and this is normal. So his girlfriend is also one of the main characters, and they decided to visit a wild island where people who refused to live in such society, and they live normal human life. And so they met their one man who is different from the other members of this island, and then they decided to brought him to their city with his mom. And what happened next, you can read. As for me, this book is about consumer society, and this is who we really are. Especially today, what do we need? We need entertainment, we need fun and joy. And what can we give in return? I don't know. And you know, this is a good topic which make you to rethink your life, your actions. Like with the previous one, I want to share with you some quotes from this book. Words can be like X-rays if you use them properly. They'll go through anything you read and you're pierced. And the next one, but I don't want comfort. I want God. I want poetry. I want real danger. I want freedom. I want godness. I want sin. So, and by the way, I forgot to mention the fact that this society, so they live in 600 and something year after Ford. Yes, they consider that Ford, the one who invented type of cars, they believe that he is their god. Yes, So I think that this book is also an interesting one, but there are some moments that you may not agree, but I think this is the privilege that you can agree or disagree with an author. If you can discard the book, I think that it means that this is a real great book. And the last one is 1984 by George Orwell. So it's a dystopian social science fiction novel and cautionary tale by English writer George Orwell. The story takes place in an imagined future in an unknown year, believed to be 1984, when much of the world is perpetual war. Great Britain, now known as Airstrip 1, has become a province of the totalitarian superstate Oceania, which is led by Big Brother, a dictatorial leader supported by an intense cult of personality manufactured by the party's thought police. Through the Ministry of Truth, the party engaged in omnipresent government surveillance, historical negationism, and constant propaganda to persecute individuality and independent thinking. The protagonist, Winston Smith, is a diligent mid-level broker at the Ministry of Truth, who secretly hates the party and dreams of rebellion. Smith keeps a forbidden diary. He begins a relationship with a colleague, Julia, and they learn about a shadow resistance group called the Brotherhood. And what happened next, you also can read. When I read this book at the first time, I found a huge amount of quotes, and this is really great because the events in this book are so familiar with events which is happening now, so the job of the main character in Ministry Truth, he edit newspapers. For example, he deleted some information or he replaced some information which aren't true now. This means that he just correct the past, and it's really a frightening thing, because correcting the past, correcting the history is really powerful thing. And if you don't know your history, or if you believe that that events in your history were the ones, and in fact they are completely different, and I don't know who can you believe. And so I think that this book the most dispiriting, and after reading you feel loneliness, that you can't change nothing, that there is no exit, and sadness and so on. That's why I recommend to read this book when there are sunny days, because you can really feel depressed. And all of the books that I mentioned shows us that that we really can't change the system. We can't beat this system. The system wins every time. And it's pity, but I think that it's true. It's really hard to change this system, especially when you are alone, when there isn't any support. Also, there is a moment in this book, it was in the end of it, where the main character Winston did a really bad thing, and my first thought was, oh my god, how can you do it. But then I thought that maybe it's true that every person will act just like he. I don't know. And so you can read and know about which action I said. Also, one of the scariest things in this book that if you are manipulated by someone, it's really bad thing, because then you don't know who you are at all. So here are some quotes from this book. Who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past. That's what I talked about. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. In the face of pain, there are no heroes. And the last one, freedom is the freedom to say that 2 + 2 make 4. If that is granted, all else follows. And that's really so. So there are 3 dystopian novels which I highly recommend to read. But there are a few more in this genre. Some of them I've read, some of them I haven't. So now I'll share them with you, and maybe you can add it to your reading list. So let's start. Always Coming Home by Ursula Le Guin is a 1985 science fiction novel that follows the cash community of people in a post-apocalyptic world. The cash repudiate a government system and are self-organized. Then, American War, a novel. Amar El-Akkad's 2017 dystopian novel takes place in 2074 in an America experienced a second civil war. This story follows Sarat, whose family goes to a camp for displaced person after her father dies. The next is Divergent by Victoria Ross. Is a young adult series takes place in post-apocalyptic Chicago, where people are part of factions and have no independence. This series includes Divergent, Insurgent, Elegant, and For a Divergent collection. So I think that most of you have seen the movie, and to be honest, I tried to read the first part of this series, but I don't know, I've stopped like maybe at the 30th page, and I don't know if I want to restart my reading, but it's up to you. Then, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? This novel by Philip K. Dick takes place in a post-apocalyptic San Francisco after a global nuclear war in 1992. This 1968 novel, the basis for the film The Blade Runner, explores the dangers of advanced technology. There are android robots indistinguishable from humans, and mass extinction has led to artificial animals. Then Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, written in 1953, follows a fireman whose job to burn books. Because of the censorship of books, this future society has increased interest in technology and entertainment, and an inability to think freely and creatively. So I read this book and I really liked it, and I can recommend. It's really interesting, and topics are familiar to the Orwell, the Martin, and Huxley. So about thinking, the freedom of thinking, books, technologies, and so on. But some of people think that this one is maybe not the whole dystopia, or it's like more for maybe not children, but like is not a serious one. Then Lord of Flies by William Golding, written in 1954, is about a group of schoolboys abandoned on a tropical island after their plane gets shot down during a fictional atomic war. Conflicts emerge between the boys as they struggle to build a civilization and fight for survival. So I've read about half of the book, but as for me, is a little difficult one, is a heavy one to read, and I don't know. I've stopped it and I haven't continued. Then Never Let Me Go. Kazuo Ishigura's 2005 dystopian sci-fi novel is about students at Hailsham, an English boarding school. When two students escape the confines of the school and venture into the real world, they discover the school is a state-sanctioned facility developing clowns. Play Piano. Kurt Vonnegut Jr.'s first novel follows an engineer trying to navigate life in a dystopia where a supercomputer dominates the world. The Hunger Games, a young adult trilogy by Suzanne Collins, takes place in the fictional world of Panam, a future nation on the ruins of North America. Panam's totalitarian government, the capital, holds most of the country's wealth and controls the citizens. Each year, children from Panam's 12 districts are selected to participate in televised death match called the Hunger Games. So I think that the most of you have seen the movies. I've seen them, I've read the books, and I've read Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I didn't really like this book. I think that the main character of this book wasn't well developed, and I really don't know the purpose of this book, because it was like a straight line. I don't know, but the series of Hunger Games is really great, so I can recommend. And then The City of Amber. Jane Duprow's novel takes place in an underground world called Amber, built to thwart an impending disaster, and follows a group of teenagers working to find their way out. I know that there is a movie, but I haven't seen and I haven't read, so this up to you. Then The Giver by Louise Loris. 1993 novel about a society without pain after a community converts to sameness. The story follows Joan, a 12-year-old boy selected to be the society's receiver of memory, and will store the community's memories from before the event of sameness. There is also a movie, and I've seen a movie. I liked it, but I haven't read this book. The Maze Runner. This series by Jem Dasha chronicles the events of the destruction of the dystopian world by massive solar flares and coronal mass ejection. In the first book of the series, a group of teenage boys are stuck in an imaginary place called the Glade and have to find their way out of its ever-changing maze. There are a series of films. I've seen them. I liked it. but I also haven't read these books. Then The Resistors. Gish Chan's 2020 novel The Resistors take place in Auto America, a dystopian version of the United States. It follows a family struggling to navigate the apartheid-like society. The Road by Cormac McCarthy, written in 2006, is a post-apocalyptic story about a father and son venturing across the ruins of America after an extinction event. The Running Man was written by Stephen King and first published under the pseudonym Richard Bachman in 1982. The novel is about an impoverished man living under the oppressive government who competes in a life-threatening game show to earn money to care for his family in 2025. I've read this book and it was delightful. I really liked it and I highly recommend to read this also. Next, To Paradise by Hanya Yanagihara contains 3 stories spanning New York to an alternate United States from 1983 to 2094. And also I can recommend you to read Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, which takes place in a futuristic United States known as Gilead. It cautions against oppressive patriarchy. So there is a serial and a book, so I've seen and I've read, and I really liked it. It was amazing, and you know, there were scary things which really can happen with everyone, and all of this is about the power of man. Also, Clockwork Orange by Anthony Burgess, a social satire of behaviorism. It occurs in a futuristic society with a young subculture of extreme violence. A totalitarian government protects the dystopian society by prescribing good behavior and abolishing violent impulses. So I've read the book and I've seen the movie, and some of people think that this book is too violent, that this book contains a lot of violence and some disgusting scenes. I agree, but still this book can give you some thoughts, and so I highly recommend to read this book, but for people who have good nerves. So, and that's all about dystopias. I hope that you'll be interested, and as for now I want to show you my recent package. So I haven't opened it yet, this, and there are 2 books, so let's open together. I have my cat's paw knife, and so let's start. Let's open. Okay, so here we have and ta-da! These 2 mystery stories from Anthony Horowitz. So I wanted them maybe 2 or 3 years ago, but I hadn't a chance to buy them, and finally I got it. So these ones are used ones. I often buy used books, and I think that it's a great opportunity to give a second chance to a book, and also it's a great opportunity to save your money, because the cost of these two books is really small. Uh, so this is the first part, and this is the second part. The first part. Crime writer Alan Conway has been a best-selling author for years. Readers love his detective Atticus Pond, a celebrated solver of crimes in the sleepy English villages of the 1950s. But Conway's latest tale of murder at Pie Hole isn't quite what it seems. Yes, there are dead bodies and a host of intriguing suspects, but hidden in the pages of the manuscript lies another story, a tale written between the very words on the page, telling of real life, jealousy, greed, ruthless ambition, and murder. So I think this is an interesting one, and by the way, though it contains like two parts. The first one is writers, so the main characters of this book. We have one font, and then the second part we have another font. So it's kind of interesting. And the second one. So I thought that this is the second part of the previous one, but no. So retired publisher Susan Ryland is running a small hotel on a Greek island with her long-term boyfriend. It should be everything she's always wanted, but is it? When an English couple come to visit the story, they tell about a murder that took place on the same day and in the same hotel in which their daughter Cecily was married in such a strange one that Susan is fascinated by it. And when they tell her that Cecilia has gone missing a few short hours after reading a crime novel Susan edited some years previously, Susan knows she must return to London to find out what happened to her. The clues to the murder and to Cecilia's disappearance must lie within the pages of this novel. But what Susan cannot know is that very soon her own life will be in mortal danger. So I think this will be interesting. So that's all for this video. Please subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, and enjoy watching this video. Goodbye.